getting lumped up with RockerMike and Rob Rossi. I'm getting lumped up with RockerMike and Rob Rossi. Well, I'm lumped up, but I'm okay. It's gonna get lumped up anyway. You better call back the posse. Just getting lumped up with RockerMike and Rob Rossi. Getting lumped up with RockerMike and Rob Rossi.
Hey everybody, welcome to the RockerMike and Rob Presents show. Rob, I got a question for you. Are you ready to be divificated? Divificated.
What is that? What is
divificated? You don't know what that is? I'm going to tell you. We have today the Queen Diva of Bourbon Street, the leader of the Beasts of Bourbon band on Bourbon Street. Okay, we have Miss Tracey Anne-Jolie. Hello, Tracey.
Hello. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
So let me tell everybody how I met Tracey. Okay. As probably you know from the last few shows, I've been mentioning that me and my wife were down in New Orleans at the end of August. And one night we were walking from our hotel. We were staying over on Royal Street and walking towards Bourbon Street, one of the side streets right there. And I hear this voice coming from one of the bars, bar called the Famous Door. And Bourbon Street is there's just endless amounts of live music up and down. It could be anything from jazz to cover bands, rock bands, whatever. And I hear this beautiful voice, soulful voice coming out of this bar. And I grab my wife. I'm like, who is this? And we just walk in. And I spent like the next 4 hours there and got totally lumped up. It's great. Okay. And Tracey was working the floor. She had her tip bucket and everything was going around. And I said to her who I was and, about the podcast. And I was from New York. And she said, well, guess what? I'm from the Bronx. And I went, figures. Okay. So here we have Tracey Anne-Jolie from the Bronx down in New Orleans doing her thing. And I said, got to have her on the show. And she agreed to come on. So there we are. This is like a month and a half in the making, this show. Wow. So you got quite a history. Okay. You were born in the Bronx and you started singing at a young age. Tell us about that.
I started singing when I was a kid. We were always in talent shows, and my family, we have such a big family. We're Puerto Rican, so we have a big family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we would always get together with the family for holidays or birthdays or whatever. And all the kids would always do talent shows because we could all sing and dance and we're funny and stuff like that. So my mom, I saw the movie A Star Is Born with Barbra Streisand and Chris Christopherson, was about maybe 11.
Yeah.
And I decided that's it. I want to be a star. So my mom was the stage mom. And she put me in all kinds of talent shows and stuff like that. And just took it from there. And then went to school and was in, after school programs where I sang and I danced and ended up going to music and art high school. That was hard.
Music and Arts High School. You know that place, Rob?
Yeah.
Oh, I know music art.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the same as the Fame School, right?
Actually, it's a performing arts, which is the Fame School.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went to Music and Art High School for the first year, for 9th grade. And my parents decided to up and move to Puerto Rico.
You were about 15 or so, right?
15 years old when we moved to Puerto Rico, yeah.
What was that?
It was weird because I didn't know Spanish. I mean, we knew New York Spanish, but we didn't.
Yeah, you were New Eurekan. You were New Eurekan.
Yeah, I'm New Eurekan, yeah.
Yeah, but she was speaking Spanglish.
Right,
English at
exactly.
that time.
And then you find out how wrong you are until you actually move to Puerto Rico.
And they're speaking proper Spanish. Yeah, there you
They
go.
don't understand you. You're like, oh, okay. Yeah, so that's how I got my career started in Puerto Rico.
And you were in the San Juan area, right?
I was in San Juan, yeah.
Okay. And where'd you perform? How'd you get the career going?
I started singing with the municipal band when I was in high school. I went to a bilingual high school in Puerto Rico, and so I started singing with the municipal band, and then we used to tour around and do like politics and stuff like that. We tour around,
Interesting.
yeah. And by the way, I would sing "Fame," and everybody else was Puerto Rican with no English, and I'm Puerto Rican, from New York, so I didn't know Spanish, but we traveled around, and then there was an ad in the paper um, looking for a bilingual singer at the Hotel Holiday Inn in Condado. That's San Juan, Puerto Rico, and that was like one of the biggest hotels at the time.
Yeah.
And I was maybe 15, 16 years old, and so we answered the ad, and we went to audition at the hotel. It was a bunch of, it was a group of older men. I was a young girl, no professional experience except for the municipal band touring with that. And then, so we auditioned, and I was sick, but I sang "I Will Survive," and I sang a song by Irene Cara, which is "Out Here on My Own."
Mhm.
And so I sang, I did it. I'm like, okay, phew, we got that over with. Mommy says, let's go shopping. We're in San Juan. So we go shopping. Before we leave, I turn around, and there's a line of women lining up to audition for this gig. And I'm just like, I was in school. It didn't really faze me. I was like, it's okay, whatever. Let's go shopping. So at home about an hour, 2 hours later, and my brother tells my Mom, you have a call from some guy that said you auditioned, and he wants you to call him back. So we're like, we already know. We already went. No, 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 no. He just called you back. Okay. So my mom calls, and out of all of those women, I got the job.
Wow.
With no professional experience whatsoever, except that I was bilingual,
Wow.
I had to learn how to play percussion, which was the tambourine, the cowbell, and the
Mhm.
instrument. I don't know if you saw me play the instrument. It's like a tin can, it looks like. It's called the guido.
Yeah. I don't know the name of it, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's called the Guido.
It's called the Guido.
Guido, not Guido like Italian Guido.
Oh.
With R's, 2 R's, Guido.
Guido.
Oh, okay.
Guido.
So I learned how to play that. It took me a long time to play that because I didn't know how to play anything. And I had to sing and play at the same time. So I ended up learning how to do that. I had to pay a guy $40 a week out of my pay
Oh.
to play the instruments for me because I couldn't figure it out. And then just one day I decided, you know what, give me that damn thing. I'm not paying you $40 anymore. And I learned how to play. And ever since then, I've been playing my little instruments.
All right. That's cool. That's cool.
That's my first
But you made a jump at some point from music to television.
Yeah, while I was singing, I met the actors from a soap opera that was very popular. It was called Coralito.
It's a novella.
It's a novela, yeah. And so
I used to watch those.
Yeah,
It's Coralito like the cutters?
right. Coralito is actually the little shell that you find in the ocean.
Oh,
It's
Coralito. Okay.
coral. Her name was Coralito. She was like a beach girl.
Yeah.
My
Little-
New York,
Like a
my
Cinderella.
Puerto Rican Spanglish is all lumped up.
Right. They made that in Puerto so I met the actor, the protagonist of the show, and he asked me if I wanted to be on the soap opera, and I'm like, oh my God, what? Absolutely. At that time, I was recording 2 demos that were written for me, and so I actually performed them on the show.
Oh, wow.
You played yourself though on the show.
Myself, yeah, singing my songs.
That's amazing. That's amazing. They they allowed you to even do that. That's great.
It was like a dream
So
come
you
true.
were telling me there was a Terra Domeda, a Terry, Annie, Joseph, Jolie, whatever.
you just butchered her name, man.
I butchered every fucking day.
Right. Asian, actually.
Yeah, that's got the Creole version of the name.
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's
So a
funny.
telenovela, man, that's impressive. You know, those things are huge. Like Mexicans love that shit. The
And actually, the
telenovela.
star of the show was a Mexican.
Yeah.
Did you meet
him
Eric
and
Estrada?
Walter Mercado? They used to love Walter Mercado before he became Dick Paulson.
That's true.
Did you ever meet Eric Estrada?
I never met Eric Estrada, but I met.
He was doing a novella not that long ago.
Right. I never met Eric Estrada.
Okay.
I used to hang out with guys from Menudo, though. You know that.
Ricky Martin or the ones before? Which ones?
I used to hang out with Roy Rosselló. He's actually, I think he's a preacher or something in like Brazil or something. I've hung out with Ricky Martin once or twice. You know, just hang out with the guys. They were always in the same clubs that we were always in, and yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I'll tell you guys a little secret. I used to pretend I liked Menudo to ask Puerto Rican girls out. I always knew the words to like 2 or 3 songs just so I can, make conversation.
That's all I'm saying, man.
All right. Now
That is too funny.
let me control this interview, okay? We're talking about other stuff here. So you had 2 demo tapes that you mentioned. What were these about?
They were love songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever record them?
I recorded them, and then I left. And Hurricane Hugo came and destroyed everything that my mom had. So everything that I recorded and everything was gone.
Okay, so you came back to the States.
I can remember the songs.
Wow. So you came back to the States. You come back to New York. Where'd you come to?
When I came back to New York, I'm
saying, did you come back to New York then, or?
No, I moved from Puerto Rico to Florida to Miami.
Oh, nice.
I only stayed there a few weeks, and then I moved to Tampa.
Oh,
Wow.
And then I stayed there for 2 years.
did you perform down there too?
No, I was actually moonlighting because since I was such a rock star when I was growing up in Puerto Rico, and we traveled so much, and I thought I was invincible. I used to hang out all day on the beach and then work at night. Well,
sounds like Diva quality starting right there. That's what that sounds like.
well, I ended up losing my voice.
Oh, really?
My voice. I had 2 nodules on my vocal cords.
Oh.
And the doctor said, and I was in my high, like I was really taking off in my career at that time. I was 19. And before that, actually, I went to California.
Oh.
I did 2 demos at Motown. And
With Berry Gordy?
With Berry Gordy. I went to the mansion in Bel Air. Ouch.
Wow.
And yeah, they interviewed me, and then I did 2 demos at Motown. But then 19 years old, my mommy wasn't with me, who's my stage mom. And so I kind of panicked. Things started to get a little weird for me. And I'm going to go back home. And so I left. So I didn't stick around for that.
Yeah.
But
That's understandable.
yeah,
Given,
it was a little
given the fame at such an early age, that kind of stuff happens.
right. And since I was alone, I wasn't with, a producer or an agent or a manager or anything. It was a little scary. It stayed a little too longer than I expected to. And so then I decided to just go back home. Ma, send for me. I need to come back home. And I went back home to Puerto Rico, and then that's when I lost my voice. And then I moved to Florida, and I ended up moonlighting as a front desk clerk at the Hyatt Regency in Tampa because I was bilingual. But also because since I used to sing at the Hyatt Resort in Puerto Rico, the general manager was close friends with the one in Tampa and got me an interview. And so I was able to work my way up to front desk clerk. And then I ended up here.
In New Orleans.
In New
So
Orleans.
what year was that you got into New Orleans? How long you been there now?
I arrived here in 1989, but I had met the man that owned a nightclub here like in 88. and he was there because the son was playing against Florida, LSU against Florida State football. So I was at the front desk, and here comes this man walking back and forth in front of the desk. I was like, okay. And so he came up to the desk, and I said, hi, are you checking in? And he says, no, but I'm checking you out.
That's a good line.
21. And I Club New Orleans, and I said, I'm a singer, even though I was taking a break. And he says, well, why don't you come and audition? And I said, okay. But a year went by and I didn't do it. Then following year, I was off the weekend, and they called the hotel looking for me, the same man, and said that the interview was open, the audition was open again, and he wanted to send for me if I would like to try. And by this time, I've had enough of being a front desk clerk. And so I ended up coming to New Orleans, and I auditioned, and I've been here for 33 years. I was 22 and now I'm 55, and I've been singing here ever since.
That's
Damn,
great.
You look way younger, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, no way, not 55, no way.
55, I don't believe that. That's lying. You're lying.
Thank you. Yep, I'm 55.
Now, before we get into your time in New Orleans, I want to ask you, like, what kind of music do inspired you really to get into singing? What were you interested in?
That's good.
I love R&B. I love old. My parents used to wake us up by putting on Barry White. Remember 99X in New York? The radio station.
The radio station. Yep.
WBLS. They used to crank up WBLS, and I would wake up to all that amazing, R&B stuff.
Now, what about old school Puerto Rican salsa stuff? Like what about that?
I actually sang on Eddie Santiago's album. I sang on 2 songs. I did backup on 2 songs, on Eddie Santiago's album. And my parents used to listen to salsa all the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't particularly like it.
Now, I'm a fan of some of that stuff, okay? Yeah. And I'm looking at you, and I know that they were looking for somebody to play La Lupe, okay? You could look like her a little bit. You could pull it off.
Really?
Well, you're prettier than her, but yeah, I mean, if you pull that off, you got the same eyes.
Oh,
that's cool. Yeah, and I like La Lupe. Anyway, I actually listen to La Lupe. I like La Lupe's music.
I'm gonna have to check her out.
Old school stuff from the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
She played with Tito Puente and all that. Yeah.
Right. Tito Puente, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
my mom, Willie Colon. You remember Willie Colon?
Willie Colon, yeah.
Willie Colon.
She dated him when she was a teenager.
No kidding.
And she ended up marrying my dad, but I ended up singing anyway. And her last name was Colon, so she would have never had to change her last name either.
Same name. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
So, you go down to New Orleans. Where did you start singing? Because I think you started in the West Bank, right? Not Bourbon Street.
Right. I started on the West Bank. It was a place called what was it called? It was called Celebrity Club. And and back when I arrived here in '89, the West Bank was like kicking for live music and clubs and stuff. So I came at the right time. Yeah. Okay,
that's cool. That's cool. And just so people understand, like the West Bank area is on Lake Pontchartrain. Okay, it's not in the French Quarter. It's, I guess, west of it, right? Am I right? Yeah.
Right. I think it's east. We're in New Orleans, so it says west.
I'm backwards. Okay. Okay.
How far is that from Three Brothers Saloon?
Three Brothers Saloon. It's like a 20-minute ride on the streetcar. 1989, you moved to New Orleans, but you're playing on the West Bank, and in 2000 you make a shift over to Bourbon Street. Tell us about that.
Yes. Well, I had an offer to go to work on Bourbon Street, which I was avoiding for many years because it was so scary and dangerous. But I ended up taking a chance. And I've been there ever since, 21 years. So,
wow. Now, you've been at the famous store for 20 years, or you bounced around?
I actually started in 2000 at the famous door. The owner that owns the famous door owns maybe 5 or 6 or 7 of the clubs that are on the street. So they move us around, you know. And sometimes we get put into other bands without knowing. Especially after Katrina, they kind of moved us around a lot because not everybody came back. So I've sung at basically all the clubs that have bands on Bourbon Street. But my favorite place and the place that I started was at the famous store.
Yeah, it's a very cool place. Everybody should check it out. It's on Bourbon in Iberville, right?
Bourbon
what is it?
Conti.
Bourbon yes.
and Conti.
Bourbon and Conti. Got it.
Is it like a bar restaurant?
No, it's just
music?
a bar.
No food, just a restaurant. Oh, no, just a bar.
I like those.
Yeah, you know. So the name of your band is the Beasts of Bourbon.
Yes.
Okay, and you guys play like Fridays through Sundays, 7 to midnight, right? Okay,
Correct.
That's cool. One thing I want to mention, and one thing I know you're proud of, is that you got into the West Bank Music Hall of Fame.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
In 2018.
Yes.
That must have been an honor for you, right?
That was amazing. Absolutely an honor because I've raised my children singing, you know, I missed a lot of stuff that I couldn't go to because I had to sleep and work that night, you know.
Right.
It just makes it all worthwhile that all the performances, people were actually listening and paying attention. And I have a large following. So when they asked me if I would be interested, I was like, absolutely. That's like winning the Grammys. You know?
Definitely.
I tell my husband and my mom, who else do you know that's in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know anybody. That's great.
But that means you had to make a name for yourself to be in that Hall of Fame. You know, you must be a legend in that area. So you must have been there a long time and doing really good music.
Yeah, I was kind of lucky because I think being Puerto Rican, it's different also from the people from here. You know what I mean?
It is.
And you know, apparently I'm hot.
It doesn't hurt.
So that got my foot in the door. And I can actually sing.
And again, everybody. Everybody watching, I mean, come down to the famous door and check her out. I mean, I was blown away from a block away. Okay, before I even walked in, I said, "This girl's got a great voice. I got to go check it out." So, where can people find you on social media? Are you active on? You know, is there a way to contact you?
Yes, I'm on Facebook, Tracey Anne-Jolie Edwards. Also, Bourbon are on Facebook as well, and my Queen Diva page. Tracey Anne-Jolie Edwards on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So we'll put those links up when we put the show up, and maybe you'll get some fan mail or something. You never know. So we got your social media, and hopefully some people will contact you, say hi, whatever, and you know, your Facebook page and all that. Everybody go down to the famous door Friday through Sundays, 7 p.m. to midnight down on Bourbon Street. So I just want to thank you for coming on, Tracey. You've been fantastic, and I wish you all the luck in the world. No problem. We wish you all the luck in the world, and when I come down to New Orleans, I'll definitely visit you, okay?
You better.
I will.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
All right, and what do we say at the end of every show, Rob? What do we say at the end of every show?
We don't get drunk, we get lumped up.
We get lumped up. All right.
We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Take care, people.
Thank you.
I'm getting lumped up with RockerMike and Rob Rossi. I'm getting lumped up with RockerMike and Rob Rossi. Well, I'm lumped up, but I'm okay. It's gonna get lumped up anyway. You better call back your posse. Just getting lumped up with RockerMike and